guys, Zizaran here with another video for 326 Secrets of the Atlas. And just to start off, I think I've never been this excited for a patch note, but I would chalk a lot of that up to just how long we've been deprived for PoE patch notes now. Honestly, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Let's start off with some rapid fire of the cool things that are coming. We're getting a new endgame mechanic, we're getting like crafting, we're getting Atlas memories to free Zana. Zana's back. 3 new bosses, and there's returning bosses with new moves, new items with the memories that improve crafting, Gold Ghost Core for respecs and the new league. So there's a King's March rework. You don't have to, like, it's fully completed now. We don't have to continue building it. We get shipping, mapping, currency exchange, Faustus, but no town building. I'm a little bit mixed on the shipping and the mapping, because those things, when they are sort of like a byproduct, it's something you basically, I'm worried it's going to be a lot of tedium to keep doing the mapping, keep doing the shipping, and having to like micromanage that, which I think was really cool for a league. But I think things like that would have gone better for if it was more like Heist. Like, Heist isn't something that just generates you passive income. If you want stuff from Heist, you have to actively do Heist. So I probably would have rather seen it gone that way. They have said they've made them slower, which is good. It's especially like what we were doing with like a boat every 20 minutes or something would be kind of frustrating, I think. It's Diablo 2 Mercenaries, which I almost put on the bingo board, but I was like, nah, I don't think they would do that. But they did. And that is what we're getting. That is the season mechanic, Mercenaries. We can fight to take their loot. You get to choose one. You can hire them. You can even put items on them. This looks super cool. And they also have items with new mods, and they have new alternative skills. For example, the spectral shield throw that you can see sort of like rolling in the middle of the screen works differently. So we are getting a bunch of new functioning skills. A lot of that looks really exciting. There's been a huge betrayal rework. Katarina is now a tradable item and doesn't like wipe your thing. It doesn't wipe anymore. For those that don't know what that means, before, if you did Katarina, it would do a full reset of your boards. If you'd set it up in a certain way, you would sort of avoid doing Katarina. No longer the case. And loads of changes to Betrayal in general. So I will obviously be making a new video on that. Loads of quality of life improvements, including pausing, currency on screen for essences and strongboxes, map device, inventory, so many things. A lot of these things are things that I've been ranting and whining about for years. Not just me, but other people in the community too. And we finally have a lot of those things in. So I'm obviously very excited. There's a lot of cool things that I've wanted for a long time. So let's dive a little bit more into it. Atlas Memories. This is a series of map run by Egan. Now, Egan is a funny name for me because like Zana is such a cool exotic name and her brother's called Egan. Sounds like, I know, it's very plain. They are fully influenceable with Scarab, Fragment, Eater, Exarch, etc. So it's not like old memories where you would not be able to juice them. Carrick memories are gone, but some of them have been reworked into the new ones. So we might have some of the good ones still. Obviously, a lot of them were straight up garbage. Memory maps have extra skills that work like exclusive Vol skills for various effects. They're sort of like reworked Sentinel in a way. It's like Sentinel meets Vol skills. So one of them makes them drop only currency in maps. One of them makes them revive double for double loot and XP. Soul Eater, I think you even suck the souls out of them while they're alive. It does seem a little keybind heavy and could be a weird playstyle, especially maybe on console. I'm not sure. But yeah, we'll just have to see how that feels. I'm very iffy on how that'll feel, but either way, it's cool that they're trying things. Killing the memory map bosses will give rewards to all the next maps in the memory chain. So that'll be sort of like Exarch and Eater altars that transcend the map. And there are new bosses at the end of the chains. These are recycled bosses, so things that we've seen before, like Cyrus with new moves. And I think that's a cool way to recycle things, and it also thematically fits the game a lot, right? I'm a big fan of that type of recycling. And killing these gives us access to the 3 new pinnacle bosses. And there is going to be a boss kill race. I'm really, really excited to see more details of that. Is it going to be like per class? Is it going to be top 3? Last time it was top 7, and I finished 3rd. I was right behind Ben and Exile. I am going to practice this time. I didn't for the last time. So I'm pretty rusty, but I'm hoping I can finish top 5 if there is a top 5. The 3 new pinnacle bosses are sort of afflicting Zana in her like memory jail or whatever it is. There's new uniques with potential of being very build defining. There's a flask with div card effects. I really hope one of my div cards are in there. That would be so cool. Lots of new endgame loot items that drop with memory strands, and the memory strands look like they are massively impacting crafting an item. They'll make mods better, they get consumed when you craft on that item, and there are new currency to manipulate memory strands as well. And we finally have Shaper and Elder Exalted Orbs. They did also tease some sort of item, which I'm guessing is a unique item that you can hit with Warlord, Exalted Orb, etc. to change it. So that'll be exciting. Now, the memory stranded maps are supposed to be a tier 16.5, but they are, from what Neon said, supposed to rival tier 17s, so that it is not just tier 17s so you're farming for currency. So that would be interesting. Like, honestly, a mix of both. It feels very bad when it's let's only do tier 17s. The Atlas Path of Tree now has support for all new content and the return of settlers as well. We're not getting more points, but honestly, I think this is a good thing. One of the best feelings in an RPG, or that an RPG can give you, is when you feel like you wish you had more points. When you're like, oh, this is a hard choice. You should get tough choices. And yeah, the League itself is mercenaries. You hire them to fight for you, and they have new insane mods. And they can drop with uniques. They can also come with new uniques that don't exist on them. And the new skills. They look super exciting, and they count as 0.5 player. That means if you play with a mercenary, you will drop more loot. They will play for you. So if you're a bad player, they might end up being a lot better than you are. If you're a good player, they might not necessarily be worth it. But yeah, they will actually give the bosses and stuff more health. So you do want to combo with them. Maybe they have an aura that you need. Maybe your aura buffs them a lot. That kind of stuff. And for the other things in Betrayal rework, we've seen that like there's a lot more different rooms now. The rug crafting bench as well is 90 seconds now where you can craft. It looks very reworked, probably a lot more interesting now. And probably less of a focus on the whole infinite currency stick. And more about, yeah, you get to craft here. But yeah, Katarina's a proper boss now. All flames drop from Katarina, so it'll be very interesting to see what all flames are in the game. That is a new form of choosing. So we'll probably get like the Veiled Chaos Orbs, I think we saw them. And we can right-click Veiled Crafts now, so you don't have to go to Jun. And I did say this already, but yeah, there's no town building for settlers. And I did voice my concerns with the boats and the maps. We'll just have to see and give feedback, right? I think that's pretty important. Recombinators, I almost want to make a separate video of this, but Recombinators are core. And we have PoE 2 Recombinators and PoE 1 Recombinators in PoE 1 now. Obviously, most of us love the power that Recombinators gives. I don't love Recombinators because of the way we have to craft with them is basically pick up 90 to 100 bases. And I think like the alteration crafting in that form is kind of toxic. So what's the alternative? And I do kind of want to make a separate video about this, like explaining what method I think would be the best. But peak for me, in my opinion, would be exactly the way it was in Sentinel, where mods are not weighted based on how powerful they are. But instead, you also have you have a minimum of 4 items per item you want to recombinate. Let's say you find a really good delve item, some really interesting mods, and you find another really good item, but something's broken. You can combine those two together and hope that it hits the correct mods that you want for a really powerful item. But I don't like this like systematic make a perfect item by ult spamming. I don't necessarily think that's good for the game either. But yeah, personally, I would love it very similar to the way it was in Sentinel. I would also love to bring back, to compensate for this change, a little bit of power with being able to move suppression to an armor base, or a shield, or energy shield item. So that you can move things like that, but it's a lot more RNG, and you're going to burn through a lot of items, but it's more about actually finding actual items or prepping them with chaos, essence, etc. I would not like to see multiple fractured. I think that was very toxic, or fractured influence. But either way, I'm a little bit sad. It doesn't matter that much, and obviously it's a good thing for me because I use that a lot, and obviously obtain a huge amount of power for me. But I would have preferred to not see it go in this way, for sure. Obviously, going to use it. It is the most powerful way to make perfect gear, and it's very easy to make perfect gear with it. I have videos explaining how if you don't know for this league. Other than that, for the balance and the rest of the patch notes, it was quite light but very impactful in my opinion. They nerfed all the heavy hitters like Lightning Strike, Frost Blades, like Kitabases and stuff. Like they nerfed a lot of the really overperforming things that limited build choice in Path of Exile. Self-Gas was buffed, Channeling was buffed, Spellslinger was buffed. I do have a huge pet peeve, which I've even brought up with them a little bit. about Spellslinger having such a weird cost requirement compared to anything else in the game. I just think it's a little bit weird that you have this huge reservation, and on top of that, it costs mana per use. It would be the equivalent of, imagine reserving Determination for 50% of your mana, but on top of that, it drains 30 mana per second. Now, I don't want that to be some monkey paw shit with like, oh, coming right up, whereas now drain mana. But you know what I mean? It's a little bit weird, because then you have the downside of Spellslinger is wasting a gem slot, right? So that's basically negative between 15 and 30% less damage, depending on the build. On top of that, you really have to care a lot about really properly, accurately getting the cooldown reduction correct, and the attack speed matching that. So it's a lot of extra effort, right? And if you botch those, and you actually have to account for things like ping, it's quite complicated running these builds successfully. If you botch that, you actually end up with a large damage loss. We're talking like 50-60% less damage in some cases. So it's like, it's a lot of extra effort, right? You actually have to care about these things. And then on top of that, you have the mana cost. It just seems like a lot where I would rather it slightly more restoration, but you could technically reserve your entire 100% of your mana with Slinger and you're fine. So I would love to see them rework that. But yeah, Lightning Strike, DD, Splitting, Steel, Fire Trap, and Ice Nova are all nerfed. Big buffs to Golems. Golems look really interesting, and Summons are looking like they're going to be cracked this season. Animate Guardian will be used on every single build this league because the gear is no longer lost on death. So you'll be gearing both your Animate Guardian and your Mercenary, it looks like. There are also a bunch of Ascendancy changes. Saboteur gets Nimbus. Elementalist gets weird conditional mechanics, sort of. I know, I wasn't a huge fan of Elementalist, I guess. Especially with the Ignite one being that you specifically have to ignite the enemy. So obviously that doesn't work with Righteous Fire. Righteous Fire is a burn. Champion got a huge buff. A lot better now. I don't know if we're going to make it EA guide this league. We'll see. We'll look at it. Guardian gets a OP 50% reservation. Not even life or mana reservation. It's just straight up every reservation. This is obviously going to be one of the most expensive Forbidden Jewels. They're going to be insane. Trickster got a smaller nerf than expected. It just got a slap on the wrist. Does definitely put it more in line with other Ascendancies now, but it's still going to be the default choice for a lot of things too. Some Ascendancies got some new Ascendancy points from Frisia League, which was a event league they did where all the Ascendancies were different. I loved it, and I was really hoping to see Forbidden Jewels with the Frisia Ascendancies. I think that would have been really cool. But yeah, super fun mini league. Some item changes. Ralakesh got changed. It is still really good, very useful with the Maven belt that swaps your charges out. And it has movement speed and immune to corrupting blood now. Probably or hopefully it is nerfed in rarity so that it's not tier 1 anymore. Hopefully it goes down to tier 2. I don't feel like it's strong enough to warrant tier 1 rarity anymore. It is still very useful though. Kane of Kuldamek and the Katarina uniques in general does now have the potential to be some of the strongest uniques in the game because we don't fully know the scope of the new changes and what those unique mods are, but it could be really, really interesting. Ephemeral Edge also got a small nerf, but not a big one. They moved the lamppost in King's March, so that was the one that we were all getting stuck on. Very nice. Quite a lot of stuff in the patch, like mechanics-wise, crafting, bosses. So much new stuff to do there. And the link mechanic looks really cool. The patch notes were very short, but very impactful. I'm very happy with this patch. Are you ready for another year, chat? No, I kid, hopefully, because GGD have now said that the next PoE 1 season is 4 months from now. And the next PoE 2 season is 2 months from now. So we are getting some really, really good schedules. So either way, I'm super happy. I hope you guys were too. But either way, thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video. But more importantly, try to die less than we do.